Hello, this is Peter Murphy, President and CEO of the Illinois Association of Park Districts. Today, we are presenting another video as part of our Legends video series. One of the missions of IAPD is to recognize outstanding park, forest preserve, and conservation district board members throughout the state of Illinois. I hope the knowledge and insights these great leaders provide will inspire you to continue to make a positive impact at your agency and in your community. Please enjoy.
Hello, I'm Wayne Utterback, Director of Communications and Digital Content for the Illinois Association of Park Districts, and I'm pleased today to be joined by Bolingbrook Park District Commissioner Jerry Hicks for our Legends video series. Jerry, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure, Wayne.
First, can you run me through your background and how long you've been here at the Bolingbrook Park District?
Yes, I was first elected to the Bolingbrook Park District in 1983. I was just re-elected in 2018 for another 4-year term.
Now, you've been here for more than 36 years. Can you tell me more about what that experience has been like?
The experience has been awesome. I have received more than I've given. Been very active in the community as well as the Park District. And to watch the Bolingbrook Park District grow has been a phenomenal experience. We've been through some difficult times, we've been through some wonderful times, and we're in a good position right now.
Now, what was your motivating factor for being a Park District Commissioner here?
I wanted to get gravel in the dugouts for the T-ball team. Very high, lofty motivations. I couldn't understand why we couldn't get simple things done. And some members of my board, I was president of the T-ball association, and coaches said, you need to get on the board of the Park District so you can see what's happening and try to have some influence. It was a simple thing. It was very frustrating. The kids were in mud up to their ankles, and we requested the gravel multiple times and just didn't seem to have it in the wherewithal to get it done.
As a commissioner here at the Bolingbrook Park District, what is it about this area that makes it special?
The Park District or Bolingbrook or both?
The Park District.
The Park District. The Park District serves a wide variety of clientele. We have programs from prenatal all the way through seniors and everything in between. My tagline is, if you can't find something to do at the Bolingbrook Park District, you're not trying very hard.
What keeps you engaged and involved today?
Seeing people enjoying life, bringing some experiences to them they might not have had otherwise, trying to ensure that our programs are cost effective and affordable. We're always challenged with that fact, but I think we do a very good job overall.
Now, with your experience as a commissioner, what do you think is a good philosophy or philosophies a new commissioner should adopt to be successful?
The focus has to be on the community. It's not about us as individuals, it's not about the board collectively, but it's about serving the residents of our park district.
Now, for new commissioners, there are many challenges, lots of new things to learn for that role. What is some advice that you would give to a commissioner?
One bite at a time. It is an elephant, and when you try to eat the elephant, the only way you can accomplish that is one bite at a time. I will honestly say that I was probably nearing the end of my second term, or 8 years, before I felt like I had a true grasp of the complexity of the Park District. We have about 26 individual businesses inside of the district that operate generating their own funds and managing their own programs and trying to be sure that we're serving the community.
Jerry, here's a question I always like to ask. When you think about the people that park districts serve, do you believe the park districts can provide services better than a city government could?
Yes, and that is not any kind of a rap against the village of Bolingbrook, but it's not their primary function. When we're in difficult economic times, which we've been in the last decade, when we are faced with budget cuts or trying to manage tax rates, a city, or a village in our case, has to provide sewer and water and street maintenance and street lights and police and fire. So what's the first thing that gets cut in a city that runs its own recreation department? Recreation programs. By being a standalone individual Illinois entity with our own ability to levy taxes and manage our organization, our priorities are always on the resident. Do we have budget cuts? Do we have to manage our dollars? Absolutely we do. But we always have some money to accomplish the highest priorities.
I'm sure in your time here, you've met many top professionals. What are some key attributes you have seen in the professionals at the top of their field in parks and recreation?
I come from the software industry, where it was a very competitive. If you weren't the number one company and achieved the contract, then you were the loser. It's quite the opposite in the park district world. The various organizations hold out their hand, helping everyone around them. They cooperate. They share resources, they share ideas, they share documents, and it brings down the cost of running the district because we can leverage each other. So I think that spirit of cooperation is as high as I've seen in any industry.
Now, speaking about challenges that come up, what are some of the challenges facing park districts today, and how can you resolve these challenges?
Well, park districts in general have to manage a tax levy, have to keep the rates reasonable, have to provide top quality services, and I think that's a real balancing act. With the increase in minimum wage, we know in the coming year we're going to be faced with some challenges, and the years thereafter. I think trying to remain competitive with our professional staff is always a challenge, but still managing to do that within a reasonable amount of tax collection and self-generated funds. At Bolingbrook, we're roughly 50-50. About half of our revenues are self-generated and about half are driven by taxes.
Now, what are some potential opportunities that the Bolingbrook Park District could leverage?
In terms of trying to manage our tax program and provide services?
Yes, maybe some services that you feel would be a benefit to the community.
That's a great question. I think trying to remain current and relevant is always a challenge. When I moved to Bolingbrook in 1973, we were a bedroom community. People lived here overnight, they worked elsewhere. There were very few jobs in Bolingbrook, very little retail, no industrial. And so trying to manage that operation and trying to keep the interest of people. My children are now 48 and 50. My grandchildren are 19 and 22. Watching that transition and watching Bolingbrook age has made a challenging time out of providing relevant programs, adapting to the current demands of the populace, trying to keep things in the forefront that are of interest to them. If we're generating half of our own revenue, we have to be on top of our game.
What are some of the benefits of a commissioner being involved with IAPD?
IAPD is a wonderful organization, and I say that not because you're from IAPD, because I wholeheartedly believe that. Ted Flickinger, prior executive at IAPD, Peter Murphy, the current executive, Jason Anselman, our attorney, all have done a wonderful job of keeping us on the forefront of the Park District world across the nation. They provide services that we can't do on our own. Probably the most beneficial is they reside in Springfield and they're in touch with the legislative world. So they constantly apprise us of upcoming legislation that might have an impact on districts. We track it, we monitor it, we advocate, we support their efforts to try and make sure that as laws go through, park districts are considered, and to the extent we can, influence it to our benefit.
Now, what is your own personal experience with IAPD?
Well, many state conferences, which is the biggest event that they run each year. State conferences are an opportunity to meet other commissioners, to meet other park district employees, to go to training sessions, to learn what's new on the horizon, also to learn how other districts have worked through some potential problem issues. So it's a great learning opportunity, and the state conferences is my number one for the year.
Jerry, looking back at your service, what would you consider to be your major contribution to the field of parks and recreation?
Personally, I bring a business perspective, and when I joined the board in 1983, we lacked that. I'm a believer. I come from an accounting background, and then into the business process improvement, so helping companies better themselves. And I look at the district as an organization first, but as individual businesses second. And that construct of being responsible for your own revenue, not just collecting taxes, of being responsible for making decisions and being sure programs are successful, helps us stay focused on our major goals.
And how would you like to be remembered when you look back on your time?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I haven't spent much time in that arena. I guess just that I did the best that I knew how to do for the community.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's a tough one. Best advice I've ever received. Don't look back. When I left my first full-time job for a better opportunity, my vice president said, "It was great having you here. You have a wonderful opportunity in front of you, and don't look back." And I think that is something that I've brought forward. At the Bolingbrook Park District, we're constantly looking forward. We operate from a long-range plan, and that dictates our activities. And we do look back to see what we did well and what we could have done better, but the focus is always on the future.
Speaking of looking back, if you could go back and talk to your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
Engage in your community sooner. Get involved, help people understand what services are available to them, help ensure that we're delivering the services that people are interested in, and just keep in touch with the community.
What do you see as the benefits of park and recreation services? And more specifically, what does the Bolingbrook Park District offer to its community?
I think our key benefit is we are accessible. We're accessible in terms of Americans with Disabilities Act. We're accessible in terms of financial rates that we charge for programs. I think we're accessible in terms that we will soon introduce our 50th park in Bolingbrook. We have multiple facilities that cover the geography. I think we're here, and anytime someone wants to engage, they're able to do that.
Now, this is a more imaginative question. If funds were unlimited, what would you like to see done for the Bolingbrook Park District?
Well, I think funds are unlimited in our own mind. And by that I mean not that the total dollars are unlimited, but that there are always funds for our highest priorities. So if we focus on our highest priorities, we can manage to accomplish those things. And if you look at the history of how we've developed the district and the things that we've accomplished with a manageable, tolerable budget, I think it's pretty amazing.
Last, but certainly not least, what is your vision for the future of parks and recreation in Illinois?
Parks and recreation in Illinois. We have to remain viable from a cost-benefit standpoint. We have to provide services of greater value than the dollars we spend. I think that's always a challenge. I think that's a challenge for any business. I do think that the legislative arena is becoming more and more burdensome. The property tax cap that was enacted upon us many years ago limits our ability to manage our funding levels. So because of the cap, in a year that we need funds, we're not necessarily able to access them. And in years that we don't need funds, it's just the opposite. So I think the legislative arena, I think the implementation of minimum wage in park district surroundings is going to be a challenge. We write approximately 900 W-2s each year, and a large number of those are high school students, first-time jobs, and their positions are not ones that are trying to provide a livable wage, but rather an income while they're in school. And I think addressing the minimum wage is going to be very challenging.
Jerry, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us, and keep doing the good work that you do.
It was great, Wayne. I really appreciate the IAPD and all the things you do.
This interview was part of the Illinois Association of Park Districts Legends video series. For more interviews, please visit us at our content-rich website at ilparks.org/legends. Also, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram for all the latest videos, resources, events, and more. Thank you so much for watching.